What started as a simple travel special quickly became something far more emotional. The East Canada Scenic Journey SP featuring Riku Miura and Ryuichi Kihara gave fans breathtaking scenery, heartfelt moments, and a rare glimpse into the private world of one of figure skating's most beloved pairs. By the end of the program, many viewers found themselves in tears. Known together as RikuRyu in the figure skating world, Miura and Kihara didn't just showcase beautiful locations across Canada. They revealed something much deeper. Away from the ice, away from the pressure of competition, the cameras captured who they truly are when the medals and scores no longer matter. Against the backdrop of Canada's vast landscapes, the two shared quiet laughter and peaceful conversations. But beneath those warm smiles was the invisible weight only world champions can understand. After winning the 2023 World Championships and becoming the first Japanese pair team to achieve that historic feat, their lives changed forever. The victory rewrote figure skating history in Japan, but it also placed an endless burden on their shoulders: the pressure to keep winning. One of the most unforgettable moments came from Kihara's quiet expression during the trip. Even when smiling, traces of exhaustion could still be seen in his eyes. Then Miura casually said something that deeply moved viewers: being able to walk normally feels like happiness. That single sentence hit hard. For elite athletes who spend their lives pushing beyond human limits, ordinary moments become the most distant luxury of all. But this journey carried another meaning too. Throughout their competitive career, RikuRyu have battled injuries, criticism, and moments when people believed their partnership might collapse completely. Kihara's serious back problems once sparked fears that the pair's future was over. Yet every single time, they came back stronger, more connected, and with a deeper understanding of one another. What the program truly showed was not an invincible champion pair, but two people supporting each other while standing on the edge of breaking apart. Then came the moment that changed the entire atmosphere of the show. While visiting an old town in Canada, Miura quietly said, "I want to perform programs people remember, not just performances that get results." That line carried a quiet rebellion against the modern figure skating world. In an era obsessed with scores, rotations, and technical numbers, RikuRyu still believes skating should move people emotionally. And that belief is exactly what makes them special. This wasn't just a travel documentary showing beautiful scenery. It was a story about two world champions still searching for the true meaning of happiness after reaching the top of the sport. Pair skating is not built on beauty alone. It requires absolute trust. One mistake during a lift or twist can lead to disaster. Yet RikuRyu continued to fly across the ice because they trusted each other completely. For years, many believed Japanese pairs could never dominate the world stage due to physical disadvantages and the lack of a long-standing pair skating culture. But these two shattered that barrier together. And the most incredible part is that neither of them began as untouchable prodigies. Kihara struggled for years to find the right partner and faced uncertainty about his future in the sport. Miura was once criticized for lacking experience in pair skating. But the moment they teamed up, something extraordinary happened. Their chemistry felt impossible to explain through technique alone. They moved together like they shared the same heartbeat. One of the most shocking parts of the East Canada special was how casually they spoke about their achievements. Most champions would proudly celebrate their victories, but instead, the two quietly smiled while admiring the scenery around them. That silence revealed more about their painful journey than any dramatic speech ever could. At one point, while walking through an old Canadian street, Kihara said, "Continuing is harder than winning." That line perfectly captured the reality modern athletes face today. In the age of social media, athletes are praised instantly and torn apart just as quickly. One injury and people say you're finished. One loss and they call you outdated. But RikuRyu never tried to act like perfect heroes. They never hid their weakness. And that is why people connect with them so deeply. Many viewers between their 30s and 60s especially related to their story. Physical pain, mental pressure, responsibility, and the struggle to keep moving forward despite exhaustion, their journey felt bigger than sports. It reflected real life itself. As the program reached its ending, the two stood side by side during a Canadian sunset, quietly staring into the distance. There was no dramatic music, no flashy narration, just silence. And somehow, that silence became the strongest message of all. Even world champions feel lost sometimes. Even winners carry fear and anxiety. But as long as someone stands beside you, people can rise again. That is the real reason RikuRyu continue to capture hearts worldwide. It's not only about technical scores or medals. It's because they continue fighting while remaining beautifully imperfect. What made this program truly unforgettable was the quiet sense of crisis hidden beneath its beauty. Figure skating itself is entering a new era. Jump difficulty keeps increasing, performances are becoming more mechanical, and judging now revolves heavily around numbers and precision. In that environment, RikuRyu seemed to be following a completely different path. During one scene, Miura looked out the window of a small cafe at the falling snow and softly said, "I think a performance reflects the way a person lives." Even the staff reportedly fell silent after hearing those words. Because it wasn't just an opinion, it was the philosophy guiding their entire career. Their skating contains a warmth few other pairs possess. Yes, their technical level is world-class. Their throws, twists, speed, and synchronization rank among the best in the world. But what truly moves audiences is the atmosphere between them, the feeling that they trust each other completely without hesitation. It feels less like choreography and more like breathing together. Still, behind that beauty lies immense pressure. After Beijing, expectations exploded. Japanese media labeled them gold medal contenders, and attention from around the world intensified. The more famous they became, the less room they had to fail. At one point in the program, Kihara joked with a smile, "There are times I want to run away." But beneath that laugh was a painful truth. The loneliness elite athletes carry, the fear of disappointing millions, and the cruelty of a world where results determine everything. Yet despite all of that, RikuRyu never stopped loving the sport. And that may be their greatest strength of all. Most people would break under that level of pressure. But they continue stepping onto the ice, not only to win, but to create performances that remain in people's memories forever. After watching the program, viewers were left with a strange emotional feeling. It wasn't simply admiration for beautiful scenery or glamorous champions. It was the shock of seeing two people trust each other so completely. Now a new battle awaits them. Age, injuries, younger rivals, and the rapid evolution of figure skating continue to close in. Pair skating is especially unforgiving. Strength, timing, trust, and precision must align perfectly to stay on top. Around the world, younger teams are pushing the sport toward even more difficult technical content. Meanwhile, RikuRyu are entering a stage where experience, artistry, and emotional expression have become their greatest weapons. And perhaps that is exactly what makes them so compelling now. In sports, youth can be a powerful advantage. But what truly moves people is understanding why someone keeps fighting. Near the end of the special, the two stood quietly beneath the northern lights in East Canada. No dramatic soundtrack played. Only the sound of the wind filled the silence. And in that moment, viewers realized something important. RikuRyu are not chasing victory alone. What they truly seek may be proof that they lived fully through every performance. Every athletic career eventually ends. No matter how legendary an athlete becomes, nobody can skate forever. That is why they now pour pieces of their lives into every performance. Even their falls, failures, and weaknesses are no longer hidden. They want audiences to see something real. And in today's world, that honesty feels incredibly rare. Social media celebrates perfection. But RikuRyu continue forward while carrying pain, fear, and struggle openly. That is why so many adults see themselves reflected in the pair. Life is never perfectly beautiful. Sometimes people survive only by supporting one another while barely holding themselves together. That is the true heart of RikuRyu's story. And that is why this travel program became far more than fan service. Beyond the stunning scenery, viewers witnessed the raw truth of two people who continue fighting, believing, and living through the ice. When the program finally ended, many viewers likely felt the exact same thing. I absolutely need to see their next performance. That is the real power of RikuRyu. What made the East Canada journey even more unforgettable was the quiet tension hidden beneath every peaceful moment. On the surface, the program looked calm and beautiful: snowy streets, warm cafes, endless landscapes, and two world champions smiling together. But underneath that serenity was the painful reality of athletes who know their time at the top will not last forever. Throughout the trip, there were moments where silence spoke louder than words. Whenever Miura and Kihara looked out at the frozen lakes or walked side by side through empty streets, it almost felt as if they were reflecting on everything they had survived together. The injuries, the criticism, the expectations, the fear of losing everything they worked for. And perhaps the most emotional part was realizing how human they truly are. Fans often see world champions as untouchable figures, almost superhuman. But this program shattered that illusion completely. Viewers saw exhaustion in their expressions. They saw hesitation in their voices. They saw two people carrying pressure far heavier than most could ever imagine. Yet despite all of that, they still chose to keep moving forward. That is why this documentary resonated so deeply with audiences across generations. It was never really about figure skating alone. It became a story about perseverance itself. One particularly moving moment happened when the two discussed what it means to continue competing after reaching the top. Most athletes dream about becoming world champions, but very few talk openly about what happens afterward. Once you achieve the impossible, a different kind of fear begins to grow. The fear of not being able to stay there. RikuRyu understand that fear better than anyone. After their historic world title, expectations surrounding them became enormous. Every performance was suddenly analyzed under a microscope. Every mistake became national news. Every injury triggered rumors about retirement or decline. But instead of running away from that pressure, they accepted it quietly. And that quiet strength is what separates them from many others. Unlike athletes who rely purely on confidence or flashy personalities, Miura and Kihara seem to carry something much more powerful: vulnerability. They never pretend to be perfect. They never try to hide the emotional cost of chasing greatness. That honesty creates a rare connection with viewers. Especially in today's world, where so many public figures carefully protect flawless images, seeing athletes openly struggle yet continue fighting feels incredibly real. The documentary also highlighted how unique pair skating truly is compared to other sports. In single skating, an athlete only needs to trust themselves. But in pairs, everything depends on another person. 1 second of hesitation can destroy an entire performance. Every lift requires complete faith. Every throw demands absolute commitment. And somehow, after years of pressure and physical pain, RikuRyu still trust each other without fear. That level of connection cannot be manufactured. It can only be built through suffering together. Perhaps that is why their performances feel so emotional to audiences around the world. People are not only watching technical elements or choreography. They are witnessing two people who genuinely understand and support one another. And that emotional authenticity cannot be scored by judges. As the program continued, viewers also noticed how little the pair talked about medals or rankings. Instead, their conversations focused on memories, emotions, and the importance of continuing their journey together. That perspective feels increasingly rare in modern sports. Today, athletes are constantly pressured to produce results immediately. Fans demand perfection. Social media amplifies criticism instantly. Careers can rise or collapse overnight. But RikuRyu seem determined to protect something deeper than victory. They want meaning. They want performances that remain in people's hearts long after the scores disappear. And maybe that is why so many fans left the program feeling emotional without fully understanding why. Because deep down, people are searching for that same meaning in their own lives too. Not perfection, not endless success, but something real enough to leave a lasting impact. By the final scenes of the documentary, the atmosphere had completely changed. What began as a relaxing travel special slowly transformed into a reflection on life itself. Standing beneath the glowing Canadian sky, Miura and Kihara looked less like celebrities and more like two ordinary people carrying extraordinary burdens together. There were no dramatic speeches. No forced emotional moments. Just quiet honesty. And sometimes, that honesty is more powerful than anything else. As the documentary moved deeper into their journey, one truth became impossible to ignore. RikuRyu were no longer skating only for medals. Somewhere along the way, their performances had evolved into something far more personal. Every movement on the ice now carried emotion that words could barely explain. The program subtly revealed how much both of them had changed after reaching the top of the figure skating world. Success brought admiration and fame, but it also created isolation. The higher they climbed, the fewer people could truly understand the pressure they lived with every single day. And yet, in the middle of that loneliness, they still found comfort in each other. There was a quiet scene where the two simply sat together watching the snow fall outside a small cafe window. No dramatic conversation happened. No emotional music tried to force the moment. But viewers could feel something incredibly heavy in the silence between them. It felt like two people carrying the same invisible scars. That is what made this program so different from ordinary sports documentaries. It did not try to glorify success in a flashy way. Instead, it showed the emotional cost of staying at the top after achieving greatness. For many viewers, that honesty felt painfully relatable. Because life itself often works the same way. People celebrate your victories, but very few notice the exhaustion hidden behind the smile. And perhaps no line captured that reality more powerfully than Kihara's quiet confession. Continuing is harder than winning. That single sentence perfectly summarized the brutal reality of elite sports. Winning once can be a miracle, but continuing after injuries, criticism, fear, and overwhelming expectations requires something much stronger than talent. It requires endurance of the heart. RikuRyu's story is not simply about becoming champions. It is about surviving everything that comes after becoming champions. The documentary also hinted at the physical toll pair skating has taken on them over the years. Every practice, every lift, every fall leaves damage behind. Pair skating is beautiful to watch, but behind that elegance exists incredible danger and pain. Most viewers only see the final performance. They never see the injuries hidden beneath the costumes. They never see the endless rehabilitation, the fear before difficult elements, or the moments when athletes question whether their bodies can continue anymore. But this program allowed audiences to feel those unseen struggles without directly showing them. That subtle emotional storytelling is what made it unforgettable. Another reason viewers connected so deeply was because Miura and Kihara never portrayed themselves as invincible heroes. In fact, the more vulnerable they appeared, the stronger they seemed emotionally. Modern sports culture often rewards perfection. Athletes are expected to appear confident, fearless, and mentally unshakable at all times. But RikuRyu showed something different. They showed courage while admitting fear. They showed determination while carrying pain. And they showed hope even while standing inside uncertainty. That emotional realism touched people far beyond the figure skating community. Especially older viewers, who understood the deeper message hidden beneath the program's beautiful visuals. As people grow older, life becomes less about perfection and more about continuing despite imperfections. Injuries, setbacks, disappointments, and emotional fatigue become unavoidable parts of existence. Yet people continue moving forward anyway. That is exactly what viewers saw in RikuRyu. Not flawless champions, but human beings refusing to give up. As the documentary approached its conclusion, the atmosphere became almost reflective, like the audience itself was being asked an important question. What truly makes a performance unforgettable? Is it technical perfection? Is it gold medals? Or is it the emotion left behind after the performance ends? RikuRyu seem to have already found their answer. They skate to leave something behind in people's hearts. That is why even their quietest moments carry emotional weight. Their connection feels genuine because it was built through years of struggle, recovery, disappointment, and trust. And perhaps that is the real reason audiences cannot look away from them. People are not only watching athletes perform, they are witnessing two lives moving forward together against overwhelming pressure. By the final moments of the East Canada special, Viewers no longer felt like spectators watching celebrities. Instead, it felt as though they had shared a deeply personal journey with two people searching for meaning beyond victory. And when the screen faded to black, many fans were left with the same lingering emotion, a desire to see them stand on the ice again, no matter what happens next.